precise. It flies at 3 times the speed of sound and cuts through a warship like a hot knife through butter. China's navy has threatened its neighbors, and they are turning to the BrahMos for protection. The Warship Killer. This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Hello and welcome to News9 Live. I'm Sumaira Khan, and today we are going to discuss a very important report, an alarming report that highlights what kind of shortage we are facing as regards the cybersecurity experts. It's an alarming report by ISACA. India is facing a whooping shortage of 40% staff in its cybersecurity teams. This amounts to 3 million shortage of personnel by the end of 2023. The report has been issued by ISACA's 9th annual research on the cybersecurity threat landscape, hiring and budgets. The report, sponsored by Adobe, included insights from 113 security leaders in India. The research said progress has been made in addressing employee retention, but it continues to be a big challenge. 69% of survey respondents said they have difficulty retaining qualified cybersecurity professionals. As widespread the use of internet is, we are seeing that there are technological advances that we are making, but so are the challenges. The challenges are becoming bigger, but are we ready to face these challenges? The report highlights the shortage and the shortcomings that we are facing. I'm joined by a panel of guests with whom I will be discussing this report and what can be done to improve the situation. I'm joined by A.K. Jain, who's former DGP Uttar Pradesh. Thank you for joining us, sir. Amit Dubey, who's author, ethical hacker and cyber crime investigator. Thank you for joining us. And Jitin Jain, cybersecurity expert and director, Digital Lab Voyager. He's also joining us. So, if I may start with Jitin, this report highlights that there's a huge shortage, a 40% shortage of cybersecurity professionals and teams in India. As we see the number of internet users are increasing, the technological advances that we are making, this will increase, this gap will increase further. What are we doing to tackle this shortage?
I mean, honestly speaking, I would say nothing. So if you look at the cybersecurity policy of 2013, the government of India has envisaged that we would require 5 lakh professionals, which is 500,000 professionals in the next 5 to 7 years for the domain of cybersecurity. So we are exactly a decade down the line, 10 years down the line, and I think we have not been able to organize or train or create even 100,000 professionals. Forget about 500,000. So that speaks volumes about the demand and supply gap. Second, have we made some efforts? I think government has made phenomenal efforts in the Digital India program to digitalize the services, to create a digital public infrastructure, to digitalize every public service possible, including, making up an Aadhaar card, gas connection, subsidy, direct benefit transfer, identity. I mean, anything and everything you could imagine under the sun for a government services has been made available online. Every panchayat village has been connected with a optic fiber connectivity. I mean, India almost the 100 CR smartphone users in the world, and I think out of them 70-80% are active. 30% you could say that they're obsolete ones or the duplicate ones. But we are the biggest smartphone population in the world. We are the country which has got the lowest cost of data connectivity and mobile internet. Now, but we have not invested anything in the cybersecurity education. Some universities in
Jitin, that would be That would be my next question to you, what you're pointing out, that since we are digitized and we are digitizing at much faster pace, and everything that you're mentioning, all these schemes and all these are being digitized, the security threat becomes all the more pertinent, and then this part also becomes essential.
This is not the fundamental problem. This is the landscape which is evolving. The problem here is that we did start the courses in 15, 20 odd universities for cybersecurity education and forensics. But trust me, every good cyber professional is living today for the greener pastures, the Western countries, or they are working for the Western countries or companies. Our manpower which we are creating, best of it doesn't stay in India, or doesn't, even if they stay in India, they don't work for Indian companies. So it is that IIT model that you subsidize education, you produce the best of talent, and they all leave for US, and then they become a CEO of some private US company, and then you celebrate here that is an Indian which has become, but they're not effectively serving home. So whatever capacity you created, 90% of that has already left for the West, and that is the fundamental problem which we have been unable to address.
Amit, is that the fundamental problem, that A, we are not creating the number of cybersecurity experts or professionals that we need to create, and the ones that we are creating are leaving for greener pastures, as Jitin points out?
Of course, absolutely. I agree with Jitin that this gap has increased because most of these experts, those were trained as per our mandate, is actually not working for Indian companies. They have already moved out. And these demands is not only in India, these demands are everywhere around the world. So they have better opportunities, they have better perks available. And that's why it is very difficult to retain them here in India after training. And we need to be more aggressive now. It's not just 100,000, 500,000. I think right now there is a huge gap, almost 1 million resources, those are required. And after DBTP bill, I think it will increase further. And we need different sort of skilled resources. So this is also required to understand this entire domain in a much deeper perspective. It's not only defensive experts, offensive experts, and also analytics. So after quantum threats and AI threats, we need much more sophisticated trainings to these experts, which is missing right now. We are still going with the traditional cybersecurity courses. We have not upgraded them. Most of these universities, they are not actually taking the advantage of these cutting edge tools available in the market for these investigative threats or even security tools, those are available. So they are still relying on all traditional open source component, which is actually not giving us quality resources. And even the company, those are actually offering the security services, they are having huge gaps of resources. They are in huge demand. And if you name it, any company which is offering cybersecurity as a service, as a managed services, they are always looking for good resources. So I think this gap is increasing every day, and we require much more aggressive effort. Also from government.
And yes, that has been pointed out in this report as well, that there is this huge gap that we are looking at, and this is increasing every day, as you also mentioned. Sir, A.K. Jain Saab, what I would want to know from you is that we look at these hackers or these professionals who are doing cyber fraud, cyber crimes. But when we look at the police force, we see that they are more technologically advanced. The police force and their teams are not as technological advanced, and they're not using those kind of means that they should be using. Whereas these hackers or these Jamtara and Nu and the people that are operating from there are using much more advanced technological things. So why do we see that gap, and what are we doing to fill up that gap?
The gap is because the government and the department both are not very serious about it. Government will have to be very, very serious about it because so many fraud cases are taking place. Every day I meet people, they ring me up that I have been fraud has taken place and so much of money has been taken out, and now the sub-inspector is saying that the fraudster is sitting in Tripura or Meghalaya. How can I go there? So I had said earlier also that interstate cooperation will have to increase, and number two, I had also said that professionals are being taken in medical and health department at a salary of 5 lakhs, 6 lakhs, 4.5 lakhs, initial starting salary for doctors, for specialists. So the same applies to this place also. If you want to hire people at basic salary, nobody will come. If you want to hire them at higher salary, you want to give them the security of government job, you want to give them status of a government officer, then rules will have to be amended. They will have to be taken at very high salary because they are professionals. As other speakers were saying that they go for greener pastures, naturally they will go to west. They all the green in the society these days, they are all rushing out, and because working conditions are much better there, their perks are much better there, salaries are much better, living conditions are much better. So we will have to create those conditions in this country only, and only then we will be able to handle this. Police force is not at the moment competent enough to handle these crimes.
So what you're pointing out is that our outlook has not changed. The government
Yes.
or the policies have not changed. Though we are digitizing at a very fast pace, the society has changed, but we are not advancing at that same pace as far as the cybersecurity professionals in the police force are concerned. Jitin, I'll come back to you, AK Jain, sir, with more points that you can tell us that what more needs to be done. Jitin, how do you see this? Because this is one important aspect that affects most of us, though there are many other aspects that we will discuss further. But cyber fraud and all these other cases that come up, and the government policy is not changing according to the landscape. The landscape is changing. So what needs to be done there?
I think you could follow the models which India followed in 70s, where best of faculties were hired to teach at IITs. Best of scientists who were working in Western universities were brought back to India, offered suitable positions and suitable salaries. There was no red tapeism, no interview process where there was reservations, separish, interference of the government, and then creating hiring third class separishi manpower, relatives of someone. I think the problem with the entire government IT infrastructure is that half of them are incapable, unskilled, or they have come through some separish or through some jack or some arrangement. And this is a reality all of us know. So you deal with a 21st century innovation with a 19th century mindset of settling your friends and families. So first thing we have to do is that we have to identify whatever the skill manpower which is available in India, and we have to to figure out how best we can do to ensure that available manpower what is here in India today is brought back into the government system or the affiliated system to serve the country of India, our Indian interest. Maybe it is a private company, PSU, or government company, doesn't matter. But you will have to have a political will and a technological, mindset where you bring in the best of talent to deal with this worst of problem. If you don't do that, this problem will, keep worsening. It will amplify, explode, and then you will be left with a fait accompli. So in my opinion, I think the way you hired best of talent in IITs in 70s or 80s or in AIMS or, or other institutions like ISRO, I think you could pick up best of 100 odd cyber talents in India and just bring them within the government in some capacity, some arrangement that could be figured out. But you have to bring that talent in.
The talent is needed. AK Jain sir, why are we lacking? Because we are taking a lot of steps to technological.
My apologies, I have to leave, so I'll call it, and I wish best to my poor panelists, and thank you for giving me a chance and having me here. Thank you.
Thank you, Jitin. AK Jain sir, so why are we lacking behind? Because this is an important aspect. We know that if we are doing technological advances at this pace, we are in 2023, this is the 21st century, and the technology is advancing at a very fast pace. So why are we not bringing in these changes? Why is the government not bringing in these changes? Why do you feel that there's this shortage?
There will have to be a lot of criticisms in the society, in media, and only then I think government will wake up. There is no dearth of trained people in police force. I recruited followers, class 4 employees, and you will not believe that more than 50% of them were postgraduates or BTech in IT and other this thing for the post of followers. So and constables recruitment is at 4 levels: constable, sub-inspector, DSP, and IPS. So if you want that minimum training and minimum educational qualification should be BTech for a constable who's recruited in a cyber police station, He should be given proper training. If he will be given training, if he will be trained by experts, and special classes are held in all the districts at all the training institutes which we have in UP, naturally you will have talent. They will gradually grow and become competent in their field. But just by transferring few people from random police stations to cyber police station, that you go on deputation there, they are not interested in coming because they are not aware of what is to be done there. So you have to have very competent people who are experts in this field, a young talent. It's being inducted.
So,
for example, recently we have taken 500, 600 sports persons, and they are of national level, and they have done extremely well in Asian Games, recent Asian Games. So why can't we hire them for UP Police for looking after cyber security? You hire ethical hackers, you hire professionals, and naturally they will be able to train their subordinates also, and very soon you will have very competent.
So basically, you have to hire professionals for doing the professional work and look at it professionally. You cannot send somebody on deputation and think that this person would do this job, because these are experts and you need to be an expert.
Yes.
Amit Dubey, since we are talking about experts doing this job, if we were to start working on it now seriously, how much time do we need to cover up this gap that we have?
Sumeraji, first of all, I think cyber crime, we should not consider it as a state affair. As long as we'll treat it as a traditional law and order situations, which is a part of the state, actually it can't be handled, because you will always have an excuse. The criminal is somewhere else and it will take time to go there or to catch the criminal. And there are some logistics issues, local issues, and that is something which is going in favor to the criminals. It has to be a central affair. It has to be treated. So we need to empower this spatial cyber policing, I would say. We need to create a new wing which can go anywhere, anytime, can catch criminals, and they should be empowered with that all legal rights. I think that is something which is missing right now, which is anyway going in favor of criminals with whatever investigation powers we have. So I won't say that police officers are not capable enough, or not everybody actually lacking these expertise. There are some good people. There are some excellent people. Those are able to investigate these cases. They identify criminals, but then they get trapped into this logistics issues, and that goes in favor of the criminals. So we need to sort it out from the central perspective.
Can I come in here, Amit? What you're pointing out is that we need to have an institution, which is a central body, which can look at all these matters and can have the mandate to investigate throughout the country, anywhere. So that is what we need and is the requirement of the hour. That is what you're pointing out.
Because cybersecurity cannot be treated in boundaries. There is no jurisdiction. Criminal could be anywhere, victim is anywhere, and then now there are virtual entities. So it is very difficult to keep it inside a virtual jurisdiction, and I think the physical jurisdiction. I think that this kind of psychology doesn't work. Second, training the people. I think we need to motivate them also. There are lots of training happening with police, and I think Mr. Jain will agree with me. He would have also arranged multiple trainings for police officers. Not every police officer, those are going through under training, is motivated to do that training. So we need to have some perks, some motivation to them, that if they are actually putting extra effort, getting trained in these complex investigation processes, they will have some advantage of it in long run. I think this is something which is lagging right now. Some policies are required for police officers, also for experts. Now, right now, if I apply in any country for global exceptional talent visa, I get it in 2 weeks. I have got it for multiple countries, and they are so excited to use me there or to engage me there in their security operations or investigation processes. But if I follow the same process in India to any government department, it takes me years. So I think this is something which is actually discouraging experts here in India still to do that sort of engagement. And not everybody is actually so open. There are some officers, those are quite open. They engage private experts, they use their skills, but there is no such framework available. So they can't be flexible enough, first of all. So there are some restrictions from government side also to engage private experts to take their services also, and also to use them for these critical trainings when they have to share their personalized data, investigative data, and records, etc. I think we need to create a complete framework also for that, where we should be open to engage experts like we have in Kerala Police, a cyber dome kind of
because
system.
then that would need
cyber
some
dome
policy
is doing
changes.
really great, and I rate Kerala Police. Yeah.
Because then that would need a lot of policy changes also. A.K. Jain sir, if we are talking about this institution that we need to have, this central body or a central agency that we need to have, that can investigate without boundaries throughout the country or out of the country if they need to, is that the direction that we should take instead of just focusing on these cyber expert thanas or local police special cell people working?
That will, I think, create some issues with certain states. If central government these days is of BJP and there are BJP ruled states, then there will be no issue. But otherwise, law and order and crime control is basically state subject, and central government cannot interfere in directly. What can be done is, what I'll suggest is that, for example, STF has a police station and they have jurisdiction all over the state. And along with the NIA, IB, RAW and other agencies and cooperation with other states, they carry out massive operations throughout the state. Same is done for ATS also. ATS has a police station having jurisdiction all over the state. So we can have a very, at Lucknow, at the state headquarters, police station, huge contingent of force, having jurisdiction over the entire state. And all these state forces should cooperate with each other. Central government, I don't think they can do funding. So they can do the funding. They can supply the hardware. They can supply the software. They can and they can impart training also. But I think it will have to be handled by state government. Central government is not competent to take it over.
So basically, we need, this is the need of the hour. We can work around it, how we form this body or how we form these area of jurisdiction where they function. But Amit, if we were to move away from just this part where we are talking about how government can deal with it, how police force can deal with the cyber crime, when we are talking about ISACA's report, it says that the cyber security professionals in other organizations also, in private organizations also, because these days we are sharing our data, information, internet is everywhere, connected devices. There's so much that's going on. There are other organizations, private organizations also, that need these cybersecurity professionals and experts. So are they also up to date? Are they also doing enough to get professional help? The private companies or the private institutions?
No, not everybody actually. So whatever staff we have, that is also not equipped enough to tackle each and every kind of cyber attack. For example, if they face any ransomware attack, there's no one, there are hardly anyone who can handle a ransomware attack in current situation. So that's what I mentioned earlier, that we need specialized people, because cyber security is now, the landscape is so big and we need different sort of expert, and each of this subdomain is actually so deep to understand and to learn. It takes lots of effort and the time. And that's why whatever staff we have right now in most of these organizations, they are capable to handle average cyber attack, but whenever there is an acute situation, they give up, and they are dependent on external resources. Sometimes we engage people from out of India as well, and especially for security components or investigation operations, we are dependent on people those are out of India. That is also a risk. So I think you are right. Not only the numbers, even the quality is also not up to the mark for most of these people those are actually right now engaged in cybersecurity operations. So we need to improve both of this. We need to increase numbers as well, and we need a thrust to improve quality.
I would really want to understand, and I would want our audience also to understand, that why are we not doing enough? Why are the companies not doing enough? Institutions not doing enough, which need these professionals? So why are they lacking behind in this? Amit.
See, security has always been a last priority for any business operation. Whenever they decide yearly budget and they invite board members, the security is considered the last thing, because they don't get the direct return for this investment. So the budget was limited, and I have recently discussed with many large organizations. I can't name them, but they were, and I was discussing with them, and they were still using old laptops with Windows old versions, and the router, those have not been upgraded in the last 12 years. The entire infrastructure can be collapsed any day. So I was sharing these warnings with them. They said, okay, that's fine. We can still use it because it's a huge investment. We can't replace each and every laptop and take the new licenses or routers. This is still the last priority for their board meetings. And they said, can you do some arrangement that without upgrading or without this investment, we can still be safe? So give us some jugaad technology. So this is the psychology that most of these big organizations, I'm referring to organizations, those are billion-dollar organizations. They are still having this mindset and not ready to invest. So if they can't invest on hardware, softwares, why would they invest on resources as well? So they are going with minimal resources, whatever is required to just blame if some incident happens. But I think the seriousness is still the same.
A.K. Jain sir, how do we bring in this seriousness? How do we bring in this necessary requirement of cybersecurity? Because we all are part of this ecosystem. Everybody is, and our information, our personal data, our connected devices, everything is compromised if banks or other institutions or other organizations are compromised at any level. The security of the country is at risk at so many levels because of this. So how do we bring in that seriousness that you have to invest in cybersecurity professionals and their training?
I think Government of India will have to take lead, do the funding part, and tell the states to upgrade the systems in all the states. That will have to be done because there is lot many vacancies in civil police also. I think several lakhs throughout the country. So the vacancies also should be filled because cyber security is the last priority for the district superintendent of police. He wants that there should be enough manpower to control crime and to handle law and order. So unless and until the priorities change and there are directions in UP, CM has recently ordered that there should be one cyber police station in each district. That's a good beginning, but very competent people will have to man that police station who are professionals. And only then there will be impact. Otherwise, they are just transferred in a random manner from neighboring police stations. That one SI will go from there, two constables will go, two head constables. Nothing will happen. Nothing will happen. Priorities have to be fixed. Governments have to be serious because so many crimes are taking place. It's high time that government should act on it.
Amit, there is a report that says that by the end of 2023, there will be a shortage of around 3 million cybersecurity professionals, around that figure. And internet users are increasing by the day. Our internet coverage is increasing by the day. Are the youngsters moving into this field? Are there enough institutes within our country or institutions within our country that can train you to become a cybersecurity professional?
Yes, so there are many universities, those have started specialized courses in cybersecurity, BTech cybersecurity, MTech cybersecurity, data science, AI. These are these skills, those are required for security experts. And people are also very excited. I get lots of requests, queries from students, those who want to learn these things and become experts and want to make career around it. But I think still we are not doing enough because these numbers are limited. And the kind of gaps that we have, it requires much larger effort. Last year, I quoted this thing that we are still lacking close to 10 lakhs resources, experts in this domain. Now you have a figure that by 2023 end, we'll have a need of 3 million resources, which is a huge number. And to generate it within 3-4 months is not possible. And I think we are already at the verge of collapse if we are not taking it seriously. So we need a specialized organized effort from the government. To target, to create that as a mandate, that how many universities are training, how many resources in this domain and what are their course structures, how will they be used in future. If we'll have that organized mandate, then we can target this to fill this gap in a year or 2 years. But that also requires an effort from today. We can't start this effort after 6 months. So I think this is really a very critical situation right now. We are foreseeing new kind of attacks, quantum attacks and everything, because China has recently claimed they have cracked RSA 204-bit encryption. Indian banks are under target by them. So I'm really concerned with these kind of futuristic threat also, which requires huge number of resources in these domains to protect us. So I think we should take some initiatives from government right now. It is really urgent.
It is an urgent and imperative steps that are needed right now, right away. But as you were talking about the threats from, let's say, China, or the advanced threats, deep fake, artificial intelligence is being used. What are the kind of threats that we are looking at? Because it's widespread. We are looking at pockets like Jamtara, people facing sextortions, calls, all kind of private data is being used. And then these big cyber attacks on our institutions. So what are the big threats that we are looking at?
So in future, I see these three technologies will create much more bigger landscape in cyber threats: AI, metaverse, and quantum computing. And these three are the new technologies, and we have very less experts around it. Even these traditional cybersecurity experts will not help us, will not be much more helpful to investigate these cases, to defend us against these kind of attacks, especially AI-generated attacks or attacks in metaverse, where people are complaining to get defamed or have multiple fake narratives set in metaverse and through AI-generated content. So I think we need sophisticated mechanism, experts, those can help us to identify this thing in real time and to get configure the security provisions against it. Quantum is a bigger threat. Quantum is something which I'm scared most, because we don't have even minimal number of resources or experts in quantum security. When the Indian government has started a budget of close to $1 billion, I think 7,000 or 8,000 crores of budget for quantum research, and there was no taker because researchers are there are not enough research happening around India. So we were looking towards all IITs and the CDACs and all government research departments, but we get hardly limited number of requests. Those are ready to research in these areas because they are not having enough experts. So I think this gap is still visible, and whether we'll be able to consume this entire budget, it's also a big question. So government can give budget, but then for execution, we need a very good execution team as well. A very good team which can ensure that, yes, this is a gap, but we can definitely fill it with this kind of framework, which is missing right now. So quantum will definitely give us nightmares in future. We'll have sophisticated attacks generated through quantum computers, and will not be able to protect us because quantum attacks can be protected through quantum computers only. The traditional, even supercomputer cannot protect us.
We are talking about quantum computers, we are talking about artificial intelligence, deep fake. We are facing threats from small pockets in different parts of our country, and we are not able to come up with a counter to them. So how do we counter quantum or artificial intelligence or deep fake? A.K. Jain sir, how do we counter this? Because we are not able to counter small pockets like Nu or Jamtara. We are not even equipped with technological advances, and they have better technology than our police teams or our experts. They function at a much better level than our experts do. So how do we cover up the gap? And why do you see that they have better technology, they have better or advanced technological systems that they are using?
Because it is their livelihood. They are making tons of money out of all these fake calls and getting OTPs, and so police is still resorting to old methods of investigation of third degree, and they think that they will be able to control such crimes. It is not possible at all. The speaker who is saying all ransomware attacks have started taking place in UP also. Recently, UP Roadways was under attack, and there was panic all around. So all these cases will gradually increase, although a private company had been hired to secure the computers there, but they failed, and a lot of money was paid to that company. So there is thinking on this also, how to safeguard the computers, how to safeguard the systems of various government departments, as he's saying, of banks and other institutions. Lot of work is required. It's absolutely alarming situation.
And it does not seem as if it's the priority right now, and we're not acting.
No, not at all.
We're not acting at the pace that we need to act at. It seems that's the situation right now. But Amit, I would also want to know from you, because I was going through a lot of reports before we started this discussion, that not only in India, but around the world also, there is a dearth of cybersecurity professionals. If we were talking about the advanced countries like America and other countries also, they are also facing this shortage, and there's a huge shortage. So it's not limited to, we might be in a much worse situation, but they are also in that kind of a situation. And why is that so?
Actually, it is a bigger problem. See, if it's a global issue, then our expert trained resources will go to those countries because of the obvious reasons. They'll get better perks and facilities over there. So it is not that bigger problem for US and UK. They can always poach resources. They can always get it from other countries. But for India, we have to sustain it. We have to keep our resources in country, and which is a bigger challenge. So even though it is a global issue, we understand that the kind of cybercrime has increased in last few years is tremendous, and it's almost exponential. And all these threats are global. These are not Indian-specific threats. If you forget about Jantada or new kind of cases, which is Indian-specific, but otherwise, most of these attacks, those are happening on India, are also happening in other countries, and they are also suffering with the same extent. And they have a much more mature policies to overcome that. They have much more strong policies to fill that gap, and they have already taken organized effort against it. So when we discuss with the stakeholders from UK or US or in other countries, we really see a very serious effort taking into consideration to create so many resources within 6 months, having short-term courses, mid-term courses, and long courses, and they have organized it very well. I'm sure that they'll be able to match the generative resources with the gap very easily. But for India, India is a big country, and the kind of digitalization happened in last few years is huge. And this growth is not happening in other countries. The kind of growth we are facing, the digitalization or the transactions, digital payment systems, and everything is digitized. So that's why we have a much bigger landscape, and much more vulnerable we are against these kind of attacks, because not everybody is trained to protect their data, their devices, their systems, and the number of systems, devices, mobile phones increasing exponentially. And this device is an entry point to create chaos in someone's life. So that's why I think India is, in the situation on India is much more sensitive and severe as compared to other countries, though this gap is a global gap. You are right, you are absolutely right. But then we have to take extra effort. India has to put an extra effort than other countries because of our
much bigger landscape that we have. And our policies are not changing at the same pace, which is the place where we need to act right now. So basically, at the level of policy making, we need to bring in major changes. The courses, short-term courses, creating experts at a fast pace, those are the steps that are needed right now. That's the need of the hour. Do you see anything happening on that front? The government being serious on that front?
Police universities will have to be established. Forensic labs, very advanced forensic labs will have to be opened, and hiring of professionals at very lucrative salaries, giving them guested officer jobs will have to be done, and only then you can handle it. Otherwise, it is very difficult. The way I know it is being taken up in UP. I don't know about southern states; they might be advanced, but the way these cases are being taken up, they can work out these small. They can catch small-time criminals who operate, and they get OTPs and they hack some accounts. So, but as Mr. Dubey is saying that these ransomware attacks and all, UP police or UP cyber cell, they are not at all competent to handle such cases, and you need experts for that.
Amit, if I were to ask from you that when we look at cybercrime, which is the biggest chunk? Is it the financial cybercrime that forms the biggest chunk? And within the financial cybercrime, what is it that is highlighted, which is the major part of it?
So every day we receive close to 5,000 complaints on our cybercrime portal, cybercrime.gov.in, which is run by Ministry of Home Affairs. And out of which close to 70% complaints are because of financial frauds. And then remaining complaints are either social media crimes, defamation, women and children related crimes, and other kind of frauds happening on online world. But 70%, which is the majority of complaints we receive, belong to this sector, which is loan app frauds, which is people are due because of some cryptocurrency based offerings or different kind of e-commerce offerings, discount offerings. People easily trust on those offerings and get duped. So this is something which we know, but I'll try to give an example over here. We have a very successful model which is being operated by Kerala Police, and they have started it, I think, close to 15 years back. And now they have a mature model, they call it Cyber Dome, where they have engaged, they have created a model where private and government bodies, they can participate together to counter cybercrime. Though the state is small, so they can manage it very well, but they are very efficient. And we have a successful model which is running here. Why can't we replicate the same model in other states? Why it took us so many years to understand that? And we have a successful model running here itself in India. So my point is that it's not that we can't do that, we can. It's just required some sort of willpower or some support from the government, and then we can quickly replicate the same thing in other states. And if you see their numbers, the kind of number which they solve every day, I think if I'm right, I was discussing recently with the ADGP Manoj Abrahamji, and he quoted that the financial fraud cases that we receive, we are able to recover money for more than 90% of the complaint. And if it is possible, we can do the same thing in other states as well. So I think we should also consider these kind of successful framework being operated in other states. Even Telangana government has also done similar kind of initiatives, but we are lacking in other states. And I think Mr. Jain will agree with me on this.
We should look within and see the models that are working and then try and replicate them in other states. When we are talking about financial cybercrime, which forms nearly 70% of the cybercrime that takes place, I was looking at a report which says that there's an uptick in the UPI fraud. That's nearly 47 to 48%. So do people need to be more aware of how they use the UPI transactions, and do we need to be more, the public awareness needs to be more about this? I think we've lost Amit there, but we're talking about the cybersecurity issues that plague the cybersecurity landscape. If Amit, you're back with us, and if you can answer my question. Yes, Amit.
Am I audible now? Hello?
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes. So Amit, go on. Amit, yes, you can go on, please. I can see you.
Okay, hello. Yeah, so I was mentioning that, of course, UPI has played a critical role to increase these number of crimes, because it is a flexible way of transferring money, and once you have transferred the money, it becomes difficult to take it back. And to investigate it also require lots of further channels. First, you have to communicate with the UPI channel, and then the bank, and then if it has transferred to some other account, then the other party bank. So it has made it more complicated for police officers to stop that transactions in real time. And that is actually going in favor of criminals. So UPI has also increased, it has helped criminals to take the advantage of these easy money transfer facilities, and they are committing crimes every day. So you're right, but UPI is not insecure. It's just that you have a flexible money transfer mechanism. Criminals are taking the advantage of that. UPI is secure. But UPI is never hacked.
We need to use it wisely. We need to use it wisely, and we need to be cautious while using it. So we
need lots of cyber safety awareness, because that's what will help us in long run. We can't train a number of police officers to catch each and every criminal. And
so that is also a life now that people need. You need to be aware of cyber security steps that you need to take for your own security. So that is a life skill that people need. Thank you very much, Amit, for joining us and being a part of this very important debate. It's an important aspect of our life. mobile phones and internet is everywhere, but as we were discussing, cyber security and the steps that we need to take to secure ourselves is now a life skill that we all need to be aware of. Also, there are important steps that need to be taken. Technological advances are taking place at a fast pace, but we also need to bring in more policy changes so that this gap of cyber security professionals that are missing can be filled up fast, because that is the need of the hour. Thank you very much for being with me at News9 Live.
I almost did not want to find out that Rajiv Gandhi was corrupt. Is it possible for a Prime Minister of a country to tell so many lies? You cannot imagine the pressure on me by the VP Singh government to write this story, to blame Amitabh Bachchan. Mr. Modi opened the boxes. Hello, my name is Chitra Subramaniam. I am a journalist by profession. My investigations into Loopholes brought down the Rajiv Gandhi government.
This and more streaming now on the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
So far as the education is concerned between the Indian institution and the Canadian or UK or American institutions, there is a sea change of difference actually.
The kind of courses they want to do and the quality of higher education is not there.
Everybody really has to put their minds together to get our students to stay home, because it is these very students that brain drain 2.0 is happening.
Do you know how many students left India last year? Take a wild guess. More than 7 lakh students. That's more than the population of a small state like Sikkim. These students spent more than 40,000 crore rupees on their education. That's more than 65 times the 600 crore budget of India's Chandrayaan 3 mission. So what's driving students away from India?
My name is Hia. I just gave my 12th board examinations in 2022.
Hi, I'm Tanya. I'm an economist by profession.
Just finished my first year of bachelor's in America.
My name is Sandhya Agarwal. I am living in Delhi for the past 1 year because of my post-graduation, which I am pursuing from Jamia Millia Islamia.
For the past year and a half, I've been in the US working with research organizations.
And I study